I have the best daddy in the world, but don't take my word for it. Listen to what these people have to say about my daddy or Paco the Realtor, as you know him. They better be nice to him.
Hey guys, this is Paco the Realtor, your friend in real estate as always. So today I want to bring someone to you that I want to introduce you to by the name of Heather. Heather has a very unique story. She's been a homeowner for about 2 years. Like all home buyers, she had a lot of decisions to make. We're going to talk a little about her story, but when she first had the idea of buying, she had a lot of questions, a lot of fear. She had a city in mind, but after looking at the houses in the city, we realized that maybe it wasn't the best option for her. So she ended up buying in another city, which she's more than welcome to tell you where. Now, 2 years later, she's a homeowner. She's got a lot of equity. But again, the process wasn't easy. We actually had to look at quite a few properties. We actually had to do a little research and to figure out what exactly she wanted or didn't want. And a lot of people, as you guys know, give up because you guys get stressed out, you're tired of it, you take a mental break. So I want to introduce you to her. I'm going to ask her a few questions and we'll go from there. Say hi, Heather.
Hi.
So why don't you introduce yourself, tell me a little about yourself.
My name's Heather. I'm a paramedic for AMR. I actually bought my house 2 years ago in Beaumont, and I knew Paco personally, so I asked him to assist me in the process. And,
yeah, we met at CrossFit. Was it CrossFit?
No.
No. What did we
Never.
meet?
Never.
Oh, that's right. Softball.
Softball.
That's right. So the joke we have is she doesn't like CrossFit. The whole team was CrossFit pretty much, with the exception of her, and she hated CrossFit. And I remember one time she hit a home run, and for the record, I've never hit a home run. She hit a home run.
It's my second home run.
And she was rounding third base, and she said, I won't say it, but yeah, she said pretty much F CrossFit as she rounded third base and was staring right at me. So that is a joke between us. Yes, Heather. F CrossFit. Okay, that's great. Great. That's how I want to start off the interview. So for all you who are on CrossFit, sorry.
I'm not.
All right, so let's talk a little about when you decided to buy. What were your fears going into it? What was it that scared you at the time? Because obviously you're pretty much in a situation where everything's worked out, but at that time you didn't know what was going to happen. So tell me a little about the fears that you were facing.
First of all, it's the biggest investment that I've ever made, and it's a lot of money. I've been saving since I was a child with the idea that I was one day going to buy my own house. I've never rented, never wanted to waste the money. And this was going to be all of that money now into one item, and I didn't want to screw that up. So,
right.
Biggest fear.
Biggest fear. So biggest fear was financially screwing up and losing money.
Yes.
Okay. So we sit down, we talk. Obviously, we meet with Joe first, get the loan process, find out what your interest rate, your payment, and all that is, because we don't want to look at houses until you know what you're getting into, right? So we did that so you'd be comfortable. But then we started off in Menifee.
Yes.
Because originally you wanted to be closer to your work in that area.
I knew a lot of people that were moving down there, so that was kind of the area I was eyeballing. But then people from work were also saying that they were kind of expanding in the Beaumont region. And so I was like, I'll check it out and see what I can find.
So Menifee was your priority at that time, but we saw homes, and through the process we realized they were maybe a little too small.
Too small and too old for what I wanted. One of your requirements was you didn't want to have to invest a lot of money into it after you purchased it. Correct.
Right?
I didn't have the time. I didn't have the emotional energy.
Actually, you just didn't have the time.
I just didn't want to do the work.
Yes, and that's exactly it. So we started off in Menifee. We went out a few times, saw a few properties. A few times your parents came with us.
Yes.
And we came to the realization that was in it. So you were mature enough to come to the realization that what I want, I'm not going to find. And you had two options: settle and stay in the city you want to, or expand, drive a little farther, but get what you want.
Right.
And you said, I'd rather drive, but get what I want. Why did you decide to drive a little farther, get what you want, versus just settling and buying something you don't want to buy?
Literally, the first house we looked at was the house in Beaumont, and
Single story.
yeah, everything about it was perfect. I remember telling you that if you're looking for future houses to base reference on, this would be it. There's nothing wrong with it. And you told me to, put in for it that night, and I figured, I've heard horror stories. People have to search years and years to find what they want, and I literally found it first house, first day, first attempt, and
it just worked out.
Yeah.
We saw a few homes that fit your requirements. A, it's not far off the freeway because you commute.
Right.
B, I always say neighborhood area, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice neighborhood.
Beautiful.
So you couldn't go with a hell of a view, especially out in your front yard.
Backyard was huge.
Yes, and it was built in the 2000s, so that means it was minimal what you had to do to it, and that was important.
Yes.
So you go through the loan process, you change cities, you're trying to figure all this out, you're stressing out about, am I making the right decision? We enter escrow. Now correct me if I'm wrong, the appraisal didn't come in at value, did it?
No, it came in less.
And what happened?
Scared the shit out of me because, one, I thought I was going to be overpaying for a house that it wasn't worth, and I didn't know what they were going to have to do to fix it up. I didn't know if we were going to have to start the whole process over again, if the owners were just going to drop out of selling it.
And what happened?
They ended up settling.
That's right, they settled. They actually came to the realization themselves that it wasn't going to be worth for them to start the process over themselves either. And because the house was in the right area, the right neighborhood, and because it was perfect, it was an easy decision to say, let's settle and move forward. If it would have been a house in the wrong neighborhood and you had to come up with extra cash, it would have been an easy decision to walk away. So now we are 2 years later. I would say that your house has probably gone up a good 15% in equity, because there's a good amount. That whole area is just booming right now.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely booming. What would you tell somebody who's been looking for the quote-unquote perfect house? They're not willing to settle, but they're not willing to drive either. Aren't you? Because you could have easily gone back with your parents, saved more money, and just not bought. But you didn't. So what would you give advice to that person that's saying, should I settle? Should I not? Should I maybe wait and find the quote-unquote perfect house? Which, by the way, they don't exist. You get close, but they don't exist. What would you tell somebody like that? Because we get a lot of people that look for that perfect house.
Right. Well, first off, there's no such thing as a perfect house. Second, you should never feel like you're settling. There was a lot about that house and that neighborhood that I was happy with, and I wasn't willing to give that up. I was scared shitless. I remember meeting Paco for coffee and just crying at the table because I was so uncertain. But in the end, it was the best decision I ever made.
That house has made more money than she has, probably. That's not a bad thing, by the way. And second of all is, it's brand new because she is one of the few people, as somebody drives by and is bumping, she is one of the few people I know that spends, what, 50% of your time there?
Yes.
40?
Maybe.
So the house is barely even used.
It's my vacation.
That is well said. Well said. Is there any parting comments you have for somebody who sees this video, who's thinking of buying but is freaking the hell out?
First off, I think it's normal to freak out. I remember him telling me that the tears were all normal. The anxiety, like I was looking for houses right and left. Like this is not supposed to be as easy as it was. I think I'm a little bit of a rare case, the fact that it came so easy, but the process itself was emotionally devastating.
It sucked.
Yeah, but worth it. Well worth it. Don't give up. Keep searching. Don't feel like you're settling, because that's not what house buying is about. This has to be your home. So.
That's right. Well, Heather, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you sharing those thoughts and being raw about that. I'm gonna turn the camera around here. So guys, one thing I wanted to point out with her is that she said it sucked. There's no sugarcoating. Buying a home is awesome. The process is what sucks. So be realistic. Know what you can afford. Always buy the right area. Better to buy the ugly house in the right area than buy the wrong house in the wrong area. Remember that. And she was fortunate enough to find the house in a beautiful area that's appreciating. So she was able to lighten up a lot of her goals. But the reason she was able to, she was realistic about not being able to find what she was looking for in the city originally she wanted. And that's the key. She was smart enough to figure that out. All right, thank you so much for watching our videos. I appreciate it. If you really like the content, go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel. We'll be putting out a lot of content on a weekly basis, which will be real estate related and a lot of stuff of just me ranting. So thank you. Remember, subscribe.